Hey guys, Jabba Pop here. Jabba Pop Popajovich here. It's going to be a little bit of a variation. I guess it's you have your regular theme of let's spend some time with Jabba Pop, and now we're going to vary it instead of Jabba Pop being subsumed in an environment of video games. We're gonna listen to some poetry. Uh, on a scary thunderstorm night. Which could fit. You know, I always find thunderstorms very warm and soothing. Uh, the entire environment is thrashing about you. It's humbling. And in that regard, we're going to be reading some poetry by William Blake. He's a pretty hardcore poet. He has some hefty output of the English language, some very mystical stuff. In that regard, we're going to read his poem, Auguries of Innocence. I haven't read this one in a while, so it'll be not just a treat for you guys, but a treat for me. So let's begin. Auguries of Innocence. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Let me do that over. Sorry, I had a little cough there. I don't know where to place this. Gotta figure out, because I don't want to have to make you look at my top of my head as I'm peering down. Let me see too. Okay. Auguries of Innocence. To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. A robin redbreast in a cage puts all heaven in a rage. A dove house filled with doves and pigeons shudders hell through all its regions. A dog starved at his master's gate predicts the ruins of the state. A horse misused upon the road calls to heaven for human blood. Each outcry of the hunted hare a fibre from the brain does tear. A skylark wounded in the wing a cherubim does cease to sing. The gamecock clipped and armed for fight does the rising sun affright. Every wolf and lion howl raises from hell a human soul. The wild deer wandering here and there keeps the human soul from care. The lamb misused breeds public strife, and yet forgives the butcher's knife. The bat that flits at close of eve has left the brain that won't believe. The owl that calls upon the night speaks the unbeliever's fright. He who shall hurt the little wren shall never be beloved by men. He who the ox to wrath has moved shall never be by woman loved. The wanton boy that kills the fly shall fear the spider's enmity. There's some really really crazy rhymes going on here. But that's important because it gets you to think about things differently than you would have if they weren't weird. He who torments the chafer's sprite weaves a bower in endless night. The caterpillar on the leaf repeats to thee thy mother's grief. Kill not the moth nor butterfly, for the last judgment draweth nigh. He who shall train the horse to war shall never pass the polar bar. The beggar's dog and widow's cat, feed them and thou wilt grow fat. The gnat that sings his summer's song, poison gets from slander's tongue. The poison of the snake and newt is the sweat of envy's foot. The poison of the honey bee is the artist's jealousy. The prince's robes and beggar's rags are toadstools on the miser's bags. A truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent. It is right and it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. The babe is more than swaddling bands throughout all these human lands. Tools were made and born were hands, every farmer understands. Every tear from every eye becomes a babe in eternity. This is caught by females bright, and returned to its own delight. The bleat, the bark, bellow, and roar are waves that beat upon heaven's shore. The babe that weeps, the rod beneath, writes revenge in realms of death. The beggar's rags fluttering in air does to rags the heavens tear. The soldier armed with sword and gun, palsied strikes the summer's sun. The poor man's farthing is worth more than all the gold on Afric's shore. One milt wrung from the laborer's hands shall buy and sell the miser's lands. Or if protected from on high, does that whole nation sell and buy? He who mocks the infant's fate shall be mocked in age and death. He who shall teach the child to doubt the rotting grave shall ne'er get out. He who respects the infant's faith triumphs over hell and death. The child's toys and the old man's reasons are the fruits of the two seasons. The questioner who sits so sly shall never know how to reply. He who replies to words of doubt doth put the light of knowledge out. The strongest poison ever known came from Caesar's laurel crone. Naught can deform the human race like to the armor's iron brace. When gold and gems adorn the plough, to peaceful arts shall envy bow. A riddle or the cricket's cry is to doubt a fit reply. To the emmet's inch and eagle's mile make lame philosophy to smile. He who doubts from what he sees will ne'er believe, do what you please. If the sun and moon should doubt, they'd immediately go out. To be in passion you good may do, but no good if a passion is in you. The whore gambler by the state, licensed to build their nation's fate. The harlots cry from street to street, shall weave old England's winding sheet. The winner's shouts, the loser's curse, dance before dead England's hearse. Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight, some are born to endless night. We are led to believe a lie, when we shall not through the eye. Which was born in a night to perish in a night. When the soul slept in beams of light, God appears and God is light. To those poor souls who dwell in night, but does a human from display to those who dwell in realms of day. I always thought there was a missing. This must be like a different version of the poem. Some are born to sweet delight, some are born to endless night. Anyway, that's the poem. There's a lot of little imageries for you. A lot of it's almost like a prophetic bleeding. Like he's in a trance and he's throwing these things out at you with his eyes dilated and just stare. It's like speaking in tongues. This guy. But anyway, those are a lot of things for you to ponder. He conjured them for you, so you can ponder them for you. And that's the song. That's how it goes. You know, I guess every fortnight you can take out your trusty Blake by the fireside and polish it a bit. But other than that, I mean, what do you do with a William Blake? I don't know, Robert Blake. There was a man who knew what to do with a Blake. Unfortunately, not many would agree with his actions, but he did entertain us all for quite some time, much like William Blake in his time, or not in his time. See, he was more appreciated after his death, like most good writers. So death elevates. It's like some kind of gold mining. You know, death. You throw death at something, and by its power, things are purified and elevated, smelting your iron. I don't know, but there you go. There's a certain ambivalence that runs throughout his poetry, not kind of carefree, more like intensely concerned ambivalence. You know, good and evil, right and wrong, bats and man, whores and gamblers. Speaking of which, you see that movie Red Dragon with Ray Fiennes. He was kind of obsessed with the Blake not the poetry, the wood carvings of the dragon. See, a lot of this stuff is pretty raunchy. That Blake wrote about and typified, not necessarily in a prurient sense, but more like in a kind of tiptoeing over an abyss sense. So there you go. Check out your Blake. Check out your poems. Let's listen to Jabba Pop read and look at Jabba Pop. Good night, my friends.